So for those of you who are new to the channel, this is my 1961 Ford Falcon. Has a 302 5-liter, how you like to call it. I'm running fitech EFI. Has a Performer RPM intake manifold, cam from comp, has aluminum Ford racing heads on it, ported intake manifold. It's a bit of a sleeper. She moves pretty good. So if you are like me and you do have an aftermarket fuel injection kit from Holley, MSD, fitech, one of the biggest issues with running these old school like 3-flange exhausts is they leak all the time. And that messes with the fitech. So I got these pieces here from Summit Racing. It's kind of like a ball flange type of deal. And it goes over like that. And then it has a clamp. And the idea is that the clamp is gonna grab it like that and it's not gonna leak anymore. I've heard good reviews online. I haven't used these before. This is gonna be the first time. So we're gonna cut the 3-bolt flange off of the header and the exhaust, and we're gonna weld these pieces on. These are 2.5 inch, and it has a little bit of a lip here so it can sleeve over the piece that you currently have in your car. That's what we're gonna be doing today. All right, don't mind the dirty transmission oil pan, no big deal. But these 3-bolt flanges, they just, from my experience with this car, they just seem to leak all the time. They're such a pain in the butt and I don't like them. So the idea is we're just gonna cut it right here. We're gonna cut the flange, 3-bolt flange off of the header. We're gonna cut this 3-bolt flange off of the exhaust pipe right here. Then those 2 pieces are gonna sleeve over that. We'll have to try to figure out what we're gonna do about the weld. And then this side has the O2 sensor for the fitech. So I'm pretty sure I have a leak at the head. I have new gaskets for that, and the new pieces we're gonna weld in right here should take care of the leak. So I'm gonna take these 3 bolts off both sides. We're gonna let it hang down, and then I gotta take the bolt off the head. We're gonna let the headers hang down, and we're gonna be able to do this in the car. We're gonna try our best to do it in the car. All right, so don't do what I did. So on the passenger side where the O2 sensor is, I actually put 2 on purpose, just because I knew I was gonna do this either way. So it's just kind of like a last effort, you know, to see if it does anything. But there's nothing wrong with these ones actually. But this piece right here, this piece is bent, so it's not gonna seal anymore either way. Even if I have to straighten it, and trying to straighten that inside the car obviously is gonna be really difficult to do. And then on the driver's side, there was no gasket. I thought I'm like 100% sure I put one in there, but I guess my dad must be playing a trick on me. He probably took this apart, took it out, and put it back apart. Die. Oh wait, never mind. Here's a gasket. Must have fell out. I didn't see it. And you can see where it's leaking. Those black lines is where it's leaking. I didn't see it fall out. All right, now that we have those undone, I gotta undo the bolts for the headers. So I have to clean this thing. This thing is super grimy and dirty and oily, man. I gotta clean this thing up.
I was just looking at that. I was like,
yeah. I don't know why it's so dirty. It literally just sits around here at the house. Cool. That's the problem?
Yeah, it just sits here.
So I have to take these off. These are custom wires. I custom made these the length, and I bought these things here so I could run them like the way it is. So take off this fastener and this fastener for the spark plug rail, and that comes up. So then I can get to those bolts down there. We can let the headers hang down, so we'll have more room to work on them. Got all the bolts out. Now we're gonna lift up the header a little bit right here, so I can get this gasket, I guess. There it comes. Well, it was leaking. It was leaking here. It was leaking here, and it was leaking here. That's the backside. Oh, maybe not.
Maybe not.
Maybe
Might
not.
have been okay. I was like, that's a pretty good gasket.
So look, now you can see how far the header hangs down. See, it's kind of tilted down. So I might be able to cut it down there.
Yeah. Okay.
So we got the passenger side off, and these multi-layer gaskets actually seem to do a pretty decent job. I was not really sure about them when I first put them on, but they're a 3-layer and they crush pretty well. They're actually like really thick before they get crushed. Looks like it might have been leaking right there a little bit on the back side. It's kind of hard to say, but the front side looks really good. This part right here is where the header bolts to this side, and the back side is where the head goes. Did a pretty decent job. Both of them are pretty much exactly the same. This is driver's side, and I have anti-seize on all my bolts because they're going into aluminum heads. Probably put anti-seize on your cast iron heads too, but there's definitely not much room in there. You can tell when this thing is sitting up on there, you can tell these things are made specifically for this. Just barely clears all those bolts, and then same thing down there with that bolt for the steering. So that's the reason why we're not really taking them out. They're gonna be really hard to get out. Matter of fact, when we first put them in, we had the car on jack stands. We had the engine lifted up by the cherry picker. I was crawling underneath the car with the headers up over the arms of the cherry picker, up over these, because it was holding the engine. It was a pain in the butt to really get those in. So I'm not even sure if I can get them out with the engine bolted in, because I have to unbolt the engine, unbolt the transmission. I can slide it all forward a little bit, but that still might not be enough room, because it's the same thing on the driver's side. It's kind of jammed right now because I have it hanging down so we can see what's going on down there, but these pipes are all cut, so it kind of goes in these grooves and clears the grooves. Same thing with the steering box. It's open right here just for the steering box. So they make different ones. These are the Doug headers for a automatic, and they do make another set for a manual.
Expensive headers.
Yeah, I actually got a good deal on these. There was a guy on Craigslist. He had a whole engine for sale, and I hit him up and I said, hey, will you just sell me the headers? And he says, okay, how much you want to give me for the headers? And I said, I'll give you 250 bucks. And he said, okay, he took it. Brand new, they're like
Almost 1,000, aren't they?
like brand new, they're like 800 bucks.
Yeah, they're expensive.
So I got a good deal on them, and they're 800 bucks because they're also ceramic coated, and they were never used. They were, based on what he told me, they were just bolted on the engine, never used. They never ran the engine with the headers on it. But now, you know, they're old and they're starting to rust and stuff like that. I'm not going to replace them, but
They're still good. We're
Still
just going
good.
to weld to them. See, you're cutting it fucking fucked up. I mean, it doesn't really matter, but...
Okay, so as you can see, we have this piece cut off. It's not like completely perfect, but that's okay. We're gonna put the ball side, we're gonna put it right here on the header, and the other side, this side, is gonna go on the pipe. So we cut this piece off, and there was a piece of metal that was sleeved inside. So the idea is we're gonna still use this piece, and it's gonna get, see if I can put the camera here so you can see it. So this piece is gonna slide in here, and then this piece will slide back in here. And once we have those pieces connected, we'll weld it all the way around. We might leave a little, talking to my dad, we might leave a little bit of a gap just so we can put the weld, so we can fill it up with weld. And then we also had to cut this piece off. That's still pretty hot. We got the grinder and we cut it off of here because we still need to put the O2 sensor back in. This is the piece that comes with the fitech kit. So this is gonna get welded back on. Maybe not here, exactly right there, but so this is what we kind of ended up with. This is our mock-up. I have 2 bolts holding the header just so that the header is going to be in the correct spot for when it's going to be mounted. And we have jack stand just kind of holding this up so we can not have to be muscling it around so much. But we ended up cutting, there's a little bit of a lip on this side. We cut all the way to this lip. And we sleeve this 2.5-inch pipe over here. The same thing on here. So this has that bump on there, so this is sleeved over the header a little bit, and then this is the clamp, and everything's fits pretty well. I still have to drill a hole up top for the O2 sensor.
Go ahead, go. There it is. Your O2 sensor.
Mm-hmm.
Now we just gotta put a little weld on there. We need to clean it up. It's not flat like
Why
it
you keep
should
moving
be.
so much?
Oh, because I'm trying to see it myself. Hello, TV land.
I'm trying to record him, and he's like going like this every 5 seconds.
Because I'm trying to see what's going on here.
Alright guys, today's the next day, and today's Sunday. And my brother-in-law, or my sister's boyfriend, Alex, he's here.
What's going on YouTube?
He's been having, I don't know if you guys saw one of our previous videos where I threw in at the end that his car was misfiring and it wasn't running very well. It was like, had a bunch of gasoline all over the back of the car. And we were messing with some of the spark plugs and some of the coils and wires, and turns out it needs a lot more than just a spark plug. we got one head over here. The things that we have discovered.
It's got the valves are getting mushroomed at the top of the valve stem where the rocker arm meets the top of the valve, so that's creating a misfire. Not to mention the rocker arms are not aligned correctly anymore, so something in the geometry has changed in the valve train, and we found some bad lifters. So we're going to change all that, or they are, and we're going to get it all figured out and find out what the deal is.
And just so you guys know, this is 6.2 LS. He's had some work done to it previously. So trying to figure out why it's doing this, because it was running fine before. Just
yeah,
wear and tear.
It's got an AFM delete, DOD delete if you want to call it that. So something's going on in there, bad valve springs or something like that, and we're gonna get it all figured out and order some new parts and get it all put back together.
Are we taking the engine out?
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. It might need a new cam.
If we need to put a new cam in it, then we're gonna take out the motor.
So that has yet to be determined.
Yeah.
We still have to pull off the passenger side head, take a look at that, but just based on the lifters,
Doesn't look so promising.
yeah, doesn't look that great. So these are the lifters out of his LS, and let's see if they get really close so you can see it. You can see how this one is much lower than this one, and then these edges on this lifter are pretty sharp. So this little ball here has probably been worn down, and this one's nice and smooth like normal. It's not supposed to be that way. It's supposed to be the same. So maybe the cam ate this up. That's why maybe he needs a new cam. We got it cleaned up here. This is tight, and this piece is slid on the header, cleaned up here, so we can put a couple of tack welds on it, and then we can take it apart, drop it down, and then finish the weld all the way around. All right, well, I'll let that cool off because I have to take it apart so we can finish completely welding it. So right now it's blistering hot. We're gonna come over here and see what Alex is doing.
If you look right here at the top of the valve, see if you guys can see this. The valve is damaged at the very top. It's starting to mushroom, and it seems like it's every exhaust is having this problem. I don't know if you guys can see those marks on there or not. So we'll get it figured out and get it apart and get that head off and see what the rest of it looks like.
Did you break one of my sockets?
No, I didn't break it. I promise I didn't break it. The little clip for the head just shambled. When I took it out, it just...
All right.
Oh, damn.
Don't throw it away though. Save it.
No,
So we can see what's up with that.
I'm gonna start loosening the header bolts.
Okay. And then we'll get it jacked up.
Jacked up, and then we can take out the other one. I already had a little thing removed for the dipstick.
Okay. Put that back in the head. Well, no, you know what? Put that over there, on top up there. Or put it in your bucket.
Okay.
Maybe put D on there for dip. And unloosen as much as you can, and then we'll pick up the car.
All right.
Or off or whatever. Maybe even get them completely taken out. We'll jack it up, and all you gotta do is the bottom of the header.
All right, now it's time to come check in with my brother-in-law. I believe we have all of the head bolts out now. So we're gonna take the passenger side head off the engine and see what that looks like.
What's up?
The gasket is just stuck.
The injector's stuck in there. Okay, go ahead.
What's in there, Alex?
Rags from over
Stand them up.
from turning the engine.
Brother.
Trying to clean my
So the story was that they had taken off the intake manifold and they put some rags in the head, and he turned the engine over and it sucked all the rags in accidentally, and now they're
trying to put it into neutral.
stuck in the valves. So at this point, we had to take it apart. Now there's no way. Look at that one all wrapped up in there. That one pulled. That one almost sucked the whole rag through it.
I bet you got a bent valve.
On the left side?
Oh yeah, look at that. You got valve to piston contact.
Looks like a valve, like the valve. Maybe.
Looks like a valve. Looks like a valve nicked that right there. That shouldn't be there. So the theory that we're coming up with right now is because we talked to one of our engine guys, and we do think, just based on what we told our engine guy, he told us that he thinks he might have some valve springs that are either too weak or too strong, just based on the valve mushroom the head. But maybe when he's spinning the engine up at, I don't know, 6,000 RPM or whatever it is, the valve spring is not strong enough and it's losing control of the valve, and that's what maybe let it nick the piston.
A lot of coolant right here.
That's a possibility.
Yeah, that's why the valve is beating it up. That's why the rocker arm is beating up the top of the valve, because it could go both ways. Either the spring
You got
is too
blood
strong,
on you too.
from this guy over here, because the spring could be not strong enough, so
And
it's floating and it's fucking whacking it
Yeah.
as it goes up and down, or it's too strong and it's fucking trying to hammer it in. You know, it could be both ways. There has to be that happy medium when you put a cam in a motor. Is that
So-
you or is that me?
No, that's you. That's
At
you
this
there.
point,
Oh yeah, right there.
at this point with my brother-in-law's car, now it's already taken apart. Are we pulling the engine out of this thing now? Probably. Okay, so I thought maybe yesterday that once we took the heads off, that was going to be pretty much it. Car was in a standby mode until we get the parts back from my buddy for the heads, but based on things that we're finding, we might just have to go the extra mile and pull the engine out, and it's going to be a full rebuild at that point. That's going to be a lot of fun to do that. Alright, so it is the next day, and you saw in that last clip, I got the exhaust bolted up, I got everything buttoned up. Now it's time to start it up and see what it's going to sound like. I'm hoping to not hear any exhaust leaks, because that was the whole point of this, because of the fitech. So, let me set you guys up, let's get it started. Everything sounds pretty good. You're gonna hear a little ticking sounds because that's just because of headers. But up here in the engine bay, sounds pretty quiet. You don't really hear a bunch of ticking stuff. Down here, sounds like normal headers to me. Thanks for watching.